Drought is back. The U.S. is facing another summer of parched farmland, dwindling water supplies, and the potential for a historic wildfire season. Nearly 90% of the land across 11 western states is withered and brittle from a lack of rain and snow. And while there have been years and months of respite, the decades since the start of the current century haven't been kind to the western United States. Egged on by climate change and facing rising demands from a growing population, the U.S. West continues to march towards a potentially semi-permanent state of dryness. Nowhere is this more evident than along the Colorado River, a 1,400-mile-long stream that provides water to 1 in 10 Americans and has historically traveled through 7 U.S. states before making its way to the Gulf of California and Mexico. The Colorado provides irrigation to 5.5 million acres of farmland, nearly the size of New Hampshire. Conditions on the river are worse than the region as a whole. The once mighty river is in its 22nd year of drought, and its power continues to leach away as it dwindles to a trickle. Based on historical data, this ranks as one of the driest periods in the last 1,200 years, according to Elizabeth Klein, Senior Counselor for the Department of Interior. At its heart, massive Lake Mead, fed by the Colorado, has been suffering. In its last 20 years, its depth has fallen by 141 feet. This year, the largest reservoir in the U.S. has fallen to a record low depth. From space, satellite photos tell the story of how the drought has robbed the lake of its glory. From its 750 miles of shoreline, a deep ring of bleached rock shows just how far the water has dropped in the last 20 years and is liable to keep on falling. The consequences are dire. The Hoover Dam, which holds the water in the lake, normally provides 2,000 megawatts of power to one of the fastest growing regions in the United States. But its dwindling resources have left that to 1,500 megawatts. Recreation and tourism usually brings $1 billion a year, but with the lake drying up, boat ramps are closed and many tourists are staying away. The long-term trends offer little reason for optimism. Daniel Swain, a climate researcher at UCLA, said it's hard to call it drought anymore because it is a permanent state of being. Things are moving in one direction rather than going back and forth. The climate of the West, and in particular the U.S. Southwest, is changing. The Southwest does get a period of heavy rain in its annual July monsoon. Unfortunately, the monsoon didn't show up last year, and many forecasts aren't holding out hope that this year's deluge will be particularly robust. Conditions across the West echo the plight of Lake Mead and the Colorado. As water supplies dwindle, farmers are forced to choose between livestock and crops. The risk of wildfire rises as trees and brush dry out and turn to fuel. And the prospects of elongated heat waves rise as the sun's energy is freed up from evaporating moisture in the soil to baking the air and driving up temperatures and energy demand just as the region's hydroelectric supplies fall along with the water in the reservoirs. No matter the metric, the West is in for a long, hot summer marked by shortages and wildfires. And some experts say this is only the beginning.